morning, class 7, and a warm welcome. So today is 14th of January, and we are going to go ahead with the Mughal Empire. Now, before I proceed any further, one thing I would like to tell you all in advance, that is, last week of January, I intend to take an assessment. So tentatively, I will keep your assessment on, 28th of January. Tentatively, 28th of January, I will keep an assessment, and it will include Akbar and the rulers after Akbar. Okay, so this will be the written
Like
assessment.
Jahangir, Shah Jahan, and
Jahangir and Shah Jahan. The next part will be Jahangir and
Ma'am, but you haven't taught Jahangir.
did I tell?
but who came after Aurangzeb? I don't know.
1 minute. Listen to me carefully. Did I say that the assessment is on Monday itself? I said it's on 28th. So we have 3 more classes in between. 4 more classes rather in between. I will tell you all. I will teach, then only I will take the assessment. Okay, so 28th is the tentative date that I am giving you. By chance, if I find that 28th I couldn't finish or anything, then it will be 31st. So either 28th or 31st of January. So the written test will be there. Start preparing from now. That is why I'm telling you. And in the month of February, I will take your orals, and during the orals, I will again divide the class into groups, and you people will be giving your orals. Now, please remember, in orals, I will keep the entire Mughal Empire. I can ask you questions from anywhere. So do not think.
How many?
How many means the full Mughal Empire will be there for your
No. He means that how many questions?
Yeah.
How many questions? How can I tell you from now? From your
5.
orals, I will. So I can tell you now, orals, I will take it in the month of February. So now only I am telling you, start preparing yourself very well. So full Mughal Empire, orals will be on full Mughal Empire. I'll take orals, for 15 marks. So each person, I'll divide the class into groups of 10 children, 8 to 10 children, and accordingly your orals will take place. So starting from Babar, Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb, the full Mughal Empire. After I finish, your orals will follow. So keep revising accordingly. Okay? Another.
Ma'am, I want to say something, ma'am. Can I ask who will the test be in Vicon?
Oral test in Vicon.
Oral. Not the oral one.
One test one
that
which you said
The
after.
Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, no, in your classwork copy.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
That will be in your classwork copy, or the specific instructions. Just wait a few more days. I'll tell you next week. By next week, Friday, I will give you the specific instructions. All I wanted to tell you this so that you all can start preparing from now. Okay. Now,
so ma'am, the test will be on Akbar, Jahangir, and Shah Jahan, ma'am. Akbar, Jahangir.
Absolutely. Akbar, Jahangir, and Shah Jahan. I will be taking.
Akbar is a bit longer, but I will do it.
So you people, that will be the written test in January, and you people will be giving the orals in the month of February after I finish teaching Aurangzeb. So combining the full thing, I will take your oral assessment in February. Okay. Now, children, let us go ahead with Akbar. There is one more word that I will be telling you as I go on teaching Akbar, and I'll give you the instructions after this. Okay, 1 minute. Desktop. Okay, yes. Hopefully, my screen is visible to all.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Oh, I closed this.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so last day we did Akbar, and we discussed how Akbar took the reign of the Mughal Empire completely in his hands, And after that, we saw what policies he took to get the Rajputs on his side. So there were only three options: either be my friend, or he took, be my friend by, you can say, giving them high posts in his army or anything as such. Then matrimonial alliances, he married them and made them his relatives. He married many Rajput princesses and made them his relatives. So friendly alliances, giving gifts and high posts in the army, matrimonial alliances, and finally, otherwise, if the option, if it is pushed far enough, you can say through war, like with Maharana Pratap. Now, along with that, I was telling you how he captured Bengal, Gujarat, which were two very important ports, and it gave him access to the ports. The two ports gave him, open access to the sea routes, both on the eastern side of India as well as the western side of India. And it was during this time that trade contact between India and the Europe, trading contact between India and the Europe increased. Okay, and during Akbar's time, because now Europe was coming out of the dark ages. As I was telling you, the European nations, they were no more no more just thinking that everything is done by the church, or the church is the reason behind, God is the reason behind everything. Curiosity was something that was taking, replacing the reasoning to be everything related to religion and God. Now people wanted to find out why things are happening the way things are happening. Hence, many discoveries were made, better ships were made, and the Europeans started going out on long voyages. So it was during Akbar's reign. See, so Islam came to India much, much before Christianity. Though Christianity as a religion is an older religion, but you will find Islam came to India before Christianity. And now with the Europeans, the concept of Christianity, the concept of the West, Indians are coming to know. Okay. Also, trade between, Kabul, Kashmir, Kandahar. Very important was Kandahar. So, through these places, they traded, Indians via land, traded with Central Asia, with Persia, while via sea routes, they were trading with the Europeans. Okay, so both sea route and land route trade was flourishing during Akbar's reign, as well as I told you how effective Raja Todermal Bandobast was, the revenue collection system, which was much, much similar to Sher Shah's, because the revenue system was inspired by Sher Shah Suri's system of revenue collection only. Okay, so in every way during Akbar's reign, the countries, the kingdoms, economic condition, the well-being of the people, things were going good. And there is one more thing that he did. Okay, this part, the Mansabdari system, is not really there in your book. So all of you study this from the study material only. I have uploaded the study material. So please refer to the study material for the Mansabdari system. So to manage the borders of the kingdom, what did Akbar do? He started a system called the Mansabdari system. The empire was divided into mansabs. So mansab was a rank basically in the army, and each mansabdar was in charge of a particular group of horsemen, a particular group of elephants and horsemen that were under a mansabdar. Fixed number of elephants, fixed number of horsemen. So it was something in the army. So one mansabdar, suppose you, if you get promotion, more horsemen and more soldiers will be under you. So once you are a Mansabdar, you are in an important, like we have an army general, army colonel, general. So as you rise, more number of people are under you. They are to follow you, your orders. So a Mansabdar was selected like that, you know, very, very carefully. A Mansabdar was selected depending on his loyalty, depending on his skill as a soldier. And once you become a Mansabdar, you maintain a fixed number of horsemen and junior soldiers under you. So those soldiers will listen to you during the war as you are going to lead them. Okay, so did you understand what is the Mansabdari system? Yes?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and
That
Yes,
is the
ma'am.
governors of the.
you know, you can enter service at a lower rank, but promotions were given. So as the Mansabdar, you know, as a soldier got promoted, there was always a chance that you can become a Mansabdar from a junior to a bigger one. So Mansabdari system, if I ask you, what is the Mansabdari system? Please write that Mansabdari system is a system that was introduced by Akbar for the efficient working of his army. So a Mansab means a rank in the army. Then you give any, you know, as the points that the Mansabdar, a Mansabdar was supposed to maintain, a Mansabdar was supposed to maintain a particular number of horsemen under him, and those, you know, they were given the response, they were given responsibilities according to their need in during any war. And do mention something very, very important. Another important thing is that the system was not hereditary. It's not that your father was a Mansabdar, that means you will also become one. Again, quite like Sher Shah, you will find Sher Shah gave position in his army based on capabilities and not you know that your father, and then to please the nobles. We see now many times to please the nobles, they make it hereditary. Okay, your land, after that next person's, after that next person's. Not like that. It was not in the family thing. So if you are not good enough, you will be removed. So it was not hereditary in nature. Okay, so the army too was maintained in a very good way. These
Can I say a fact?
Ma'am, what is the name
please,
of
please tell,
hereditary?
please tell.
Akbar's sons also were like Mansabdars.
Akbar's
They had their own armies, and whenever they
sons
did
were also
good
in
in
the
battles, their
Huh.
armies, well, soldiers increased.
Interesting. Yes, yes, people from the royal family was also given positions in the Mansabdari system. That is true. Okay, great. Rishabh, you are asking for orals. Orals will start from February. So exactly.
I didn't ask about orals.
What? Oh,
Ma'am.
Riddhi asked. Sorry. Not Rishabh. Riddhi asked. Riddhi, orals will be in February, but I'm telling it to you now so that you can keep revising. Orals will be on full Mughal Empire. Mughal Empire,
Okay,
full
ma'am.
starting from Babur to Aurangzeb. I will teach you, and then I will go ahead with your orals. Okay. Now,
Okay,
to
ma'am.
end of
Ma'am,
January, I will
may
take
I-
written assessment. That is another date that I have already given. Yes, please tell Soham
Ma'am, may I say something?
quickly.
Ma'am, Akbar also had a system called the Riyotwari system for land, which was actually introduced by Sher Shah, and that was continued by the British. Same hierarchy.
The
sort of
Rayatwari
system.
system of revenue for revenue collection and the farmers. You know, this was related to agriculture. True.
Same
Absolutely
hierarchy
correct.
sort of system.
Yes. So Rawatwari system was a system of revenue collection whereby the farmers pay the tax directly to the government. So there is no middleman in between. And the farmers are given the ownership of the land, that you are the manager of the land, you are the owner of the land, you take care of the land. In return, whatever is the revenue, you give it directly to the government, in this case the king. Okay, the British maintained that pay it to the government. There will be no middleman. The other system that the British introduced later on was the zamindari system, but it was not in a way a very good system, because zamindars were middlemen. They started, that led to a lot of exploitation. So farmers paid almost double, because half was with the zamindars paid to the Britishers, but they wanted to build these zamindars so that they can be very loyal to the British. You will do about the zamindari and the Rayatwari system in detail in class 8 when we get into the British government. Okay, true. Now, this was about Akbar's administration, revenue, Akbar's, you have read about Akbar's policies of conquest, definitely. But along with that, he is called Akbar the Great, not only because of these things that he did, but because of his great interest in learning, in art, in music, in you can say in art, music, learning, in of course this one, he himself was not uneducated person. Akbar never went to school like you all are kids who are in school. Akbar as a person never got the opportunity to go to school. Firstly, because during his childhood, mostly he was on the run. Okay, either on the run or staying hidden somewhere so that nobody attacks, he is not killed. All these things have to be kept in mind. And another thing is that when he became a teenager, he was immediately made to sit on the throne. And once he sat on the throne, he never got the opportunity to go to a formal school or learn anything. You see, he was not able to read and write himself. Do you know that? Anybody knows about this?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Not
ma'am.
know how to
know.
read and write.
Because he became king at a very young age. So he had no
He
time.
became
Yes,
a king at
ma'am.
a very young age.
He asked his
He was lucky.
ministers to read
He was very
the
lucky.
letter.
He could not read or write himself. He did not know how to read and write himself, because as I said, of course, he became king at a young age. Along with that, because his childhood was always on the run and his father was trying to raise an army. His father, excuse me, he was not, he did not have a very settled childhood, and whatever little training he got, his training was more on the how to use weapons and what to do in the war. All these things were the main focus. He was the heir to the Mughal throne. He had to be protected. So like normal kids, he couldn't be sent to school and all in the open. Okay, so these were the reasons why he himself was never an educated person. He did not know how to read and write even his own name. But he is called as Akbar the Great because in spite of not getting any formal education, he was always eager to learn. He patronized people from different sections of the society. He was a great patron of people from different sections of the society. He invited learned people to his court, and he used to organize, gatherings and meetings in his court. So where people of different religions, different cultures, they used to share their experiences, they used to talk, and he used to listen. Music, literature, art, painting, everything. He used to organize these meetings or councils like that, and everyone used to share their knowledge. He encouraged people to share, that whatever you know, you share. That is why he had a very open mind. He, as a ruler, had an extremely open mind, unlike, other very strict believers in religion and all. His religious policies and all, you will find it was very, very open. He was open-minded in so many ways. That shows in his social policies that he took. He was against child marriage. He was not, he was not in favor of sati, that a widow be burnt with the husband. He was very strictly against that. He never asked for he was against child marriage. He did not allow, he tried to restrict the sale of drinking, not like the other king who would drink a lot and everything will be, as they wanted. Not like that. He was not in favor of that. So he wanted
like his father, Humayun only used to have opium.
They did. So he did not encourage a lot of addictions. He never encouraged. Rather, all this, when you listen, interact with people, when you get to learn new things, you will see many your thinking becomes much open-minded. We say now we become much more open-minded because we are learning so many new things from different people. So he used to have these councils and meetings and gatherings where people used to discuss, and not only of his own religion, but also of other religions. And that made him have a very progressive mind. Also, you see, he was one ruler who was in favor of widow remarriage back then, when widows were not given even the basic respect in society. But Akbar himself married Bairam Khan's widow, plus he was always in favor of widow remarriage. Okay, he said that yes, widow, why not? If your husband has died, why can't a girl marry again? So he was in favor of that. He did not allow, he was against sati, child marriage. He was in favor of widow remarriage. He did not believe in too much of addictions, drinking and all. So he was not someone who would support and promote these. Such a progressive mindset in spite of not visiting any school. So this shows that all you need to do is, learning can take place in any area. Whenever, if you want to learn, you will get to learn. And the more you mix with people, the more you interact. Listen to others also with an open mind. Do not keep your mindset very fixed that, okay, my religion, my culture is the best. Listen to others. Learn about the diversity. Yes, Shonak, what do you want to say?
Ma'am, what's liquor?
Liquor is alcohol.
Ma'am, can I say a
Okay,
fun
ma'am.
fact?
Yes, can I say?
Ma'am, despite Akbar restricting the sale on liquor, his son himself used to drink it a lot.
A lot. Jahangir, yes. He would, you will see. See, that is why there is a line at the end that Akbar's mindset was very progressive. He himself was someone very progressive in nature and trying to help the society be a better one. But the people of that time, everybody was not of the same view. And he, as a ruler, never forced the people of his kingdom into anything. Okay, so you can see it's written that he had progressive mindset, but people in the society, people were still in favor of child marriage. People were still extremely against widow remarriage and all, and widows were treated very badly. So his efforts did not bring a lot of change in the society, because the way he listened to everyone with an open mind, the way...
And what does polygamy mean?
Polygamy means marrying multiple times. Polygamy means when one person has many wives. The custom of polygamy was prevalent during that time, when one man had 4, 5, 6, 7 wives. Okay, so they married and polygamy is a system, means when you are having more than one wife, when your other wife is also alive, means without nowadays, like, polygamy is a crime in the society. So now our culture does not allow polygamy. Yes, you can marry again, but there has to be a circumstance, either when your spouse has is not alive, so after that can be there, so like a remarriage, or after a
divorce.
separation, that can
Ma'am, I
happen.
want to say something.
Yes, quickly.
Ma'am, the olden times kings married many wives because they of their sons. If there was because their successor should be one king. That's why they married
Not only
many.
successors, a successor was always a part of it, but along with successors, for political reasons, to bring more and more empires
Yes,
on
for
their side, by making them the relatives and all. Politically, if you are connected and married to the strong empires, then that becomes a plus point. Now, in
Yes,
this
ma'am.
way, Akbar's cultural contributions were immense. His in spite of not being an educated, a formally educated, what we say as formally educated ruler, still his contributions in the field of learning was immense. Okay, he had the 9 gems in his court, his 9 gems, who were from different fields, and Akbar's 9 gems, they used to, he had, each of them was from different religious background, different, some were Hindu, some were Muslims.
Ma'am, Mahesh,
Tansen was Chinese.
No, absolutely not. So he patronized each of them. He recognized each of their skills, and every time he had meetings and sessions with them, interacted ideas, got to know their viewpoints, everything. Now here you have a small project to do, a mini project that we have that I have said. I will upload the plan. It will be there in the plan also. So your mini project will be,
yet Mahesh Das.
your mini project will be on any one of Akbar's 9 gems. You will make a small PPT or a Word document on any one of Akbar's 9 gems. There were 9.
I can say without doubt that most of the class will choose Birbal.
So
I was going to
then
say
try
that.
to choose someone.
What you see,
Now listen,
choose
I will
Mahesh
choose
Das.
Tansen.
most
I
of
will
the
choose
class will
Tansen.
choose whom is
I
not
like
I
in
will
mind.
pick Mahesh Das.
Too much of talking in between. Listen to this
I will choose
first.
Tansen. I like Tansen.
Listen, this will be a mini project, so I don't want it to be very long. You
Ma'am,
can
what
make
is
a
the
small
last bit?
video. You can make a small video of 3 minutes or so. You can make a PPT of 5 to 6 slides, or you can make a small Word document of 1 or 2 pages. You can present it like a fact file in points and all. That is also good. Start with a small introduction on Akbar's 9 gems and select any one of his 9 gems and make a small presentation on that person, as and why did Akbar patronize that person, or what was the skill, quality. And once we finish towards the end, some of you can share the projects in class. Okay, so we can get to know about the different people from different backgrounds that he used to patronize. This has to be submitted within 31st January. The faster you submit, the better. So within 31st of January, the project must be submitted. Okay, within, don't keep it till.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, I want to say something, ma'am. Can you send this one in mail or in Vicon, ma'am?
Why?
This
What is
project details?
difficult in understanding? Akbar's 9 gems. You have to work with any one of his 9 gems. If you pay
Okay,
attention, you can do this. You can
Yes,
do
ma'am.
this any one of his 9 gems.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
can either make a small PPT or a small video, or somebody can speak on that person and record a small video, or you can also make a small Word document. this should not be too big. Of course, not too big. If it's a PPT, not more than 5-6 slides. If it's a Word document, maybe a page or two maximum. And, that is why I have given any one of his 9 gems. So you start with a small introduction, add relevant pictures, and what was the reason he was a part of Akbar's 9 gems. Do add that, do add the same, so any one of his 9 gems. Okay, now see, along with these, Akbar was so interested in learning. He had a huge library. Okay, he couldn't read or write himself, but he maintained a huge library with different types of books, including books on Hinduism, like the Ramayana, Mahabharata, the main books of the Hindu.
Translated version of them.
Translated version of them in Persian. And what he used to do is, since he couldn't read or write, so he encouraged the use of painting books. Do you know picture books?
Yeah.
Picture
Ma'am,
books
could you
that we
repeat
had
the
now.
sentence before that, because I couldn't hear you, your voice cut off.
Please
The
go
one
through the class recording, my dear, because if I go on
Okay,
repeating,
ma'am.
go through the class recording once. If you have doubts, get back to me. I'll clarify. Okay. So as I was saying, so the use of picture books, he promoted paintings a lot. Instead of reading, but if you can't understand something by reading, you can always understand things by seeing pictures. So you will see that he had something, he maintained a work, studio type of thing, which was known as Tasveer Khana, painting studio. Tasveer, the Hindi word of picture is tasveer. So
Yes,
he
ma'am.
maintained a Tasveer Khana where paintings of Persian and Indian style mixed were made, and paintings of the royal court, paintings of hunting scenes, everything was there. He made picture books with a lot of pictures, so that even if you don't read, you can see the pictures and understand. And he promoted the use of bright colors in the books. You see, that is something, so that he wanted, this was his wish, that he translated Ramayana, Mahabharata into Persian. It was his wish that everybody gets to know about different cultures. It's not that you should be restricted to my religion, my views only. You should be open-minded and read. He wanted to promote reading, learning, spread learning between all. One of his very close friends called Abul Fazl, since he couldn't write himself, like Babur's one was a autobiography, but Akbar's one was a biography. It was written by his close friend Abul Fazl, which is also known as Akbarnama. It's called Akbarnama. Ain-e-Akbari. Ain is rules and laws of Akbar's court. Ain-e-Akbari was a part of Akbarnama, which talked about the rules, regulations that were followed in Akbar's court, how he managed his kingdom. Along with education, he was very interested in music. So we all know about the famous musician Tansen, right? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
We are
Yes,
very
ma'am.
much
Yes,
aware
ma'am.
about the famous musician Tansen, one of the greatest musician of Indian music, in Indian music, the greatest musician of all times, who invented so many ragas, so many things. And it is really believed that when he used to sing, he could control different elements of nature. His Rag Malhar and all,
Only a
used to
legend.
bring rain. What?
Only a legend, right?
He was a legend. He was one of his kind. His ragas used to, as I said, it is believed that his ragas used to control nature. He sang the raga of rain, so it started raining, Rag Malhar, and it is actually believed that he could ignite fire using music. So many things. There are many stories related to Tansen, and he composed the Rag Darbari, that is darbars. Darbars were royal courts. So he composed the Rag Darbari in honor of Akbar. So Akbar definitely patronized music as well. And we all know that the Mughal architecture also flourished. Babar Humayun never got time to invest in art and architecture so much. They couldn't rule for that long a time, but Akbar could. So Mughal architecture now, you all have anyone been to Fatehpur Sikri or Agra Fort?
Agra Fort.
Yes, ma'am.
I have been to both.
Fort.
Agra Fort and Fatehpur Sikri. If you go to Agra Fort and Fatehpur Sikri, beautiful. And till Akbar's time, you will see Mughal architecture was much more influenced by use of red sandstone. Red, the buildings are all red in color. Later on, Shah Jahan will start using marbles. Shah Jahan will start using marbles, while Akbar was more onto red sandstone, which was easily available in the Agra and nearby areas. The Fatehpur Sikri has